Calculating place value by tens, hundreds, and thousands in a slightly different way. We're going to do that by grouping our place value. We've all been taught that this is the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. But in that previous video that you just watched, you saw that you could take those 800s and break them up into 80 tens plus these 7 tens and realize that you actually have 87 tens. If I think of it as 87 tens, and you might even want to draw just a box around that to help you to see that you have 87 tens. And if I add one more 10, I know that now I would have 88 tens and 9 ones. These 9 ones aren't going to change, so they're just going to go along for the ride. This is kind of a nice strategy because you don't ever have to worry about carrying or borrowing or adding or subtracting or any of those things. It's truly just thinking about the place value. So let's look at this next problem. Here I have my ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. I know that this right here is my hundreds place value, and I could think of it as 0 hundreds. Or I could group everything to the left of that with it and think of it as 20 hundreds. Now if I have 20 hundreds, and I want to take one of those hundreds away because I want 100 less, I know that I would only have 19 hundreds. Because I had 20, I took one away, now I have 19 hundreds. The 6 tens and the 7 tens, or 7 ones, they just go along for the ride because all I'm manipulating, all I'm changing are the hundreds. I love this strategy because I didn't have to do any borrowing or subtracting. I just thought of it as 20 hundreds. I wanted 100 less, so I took one of those hundreds away. Now I only had 19 hundreds. Look at this next problem. I know that this is my ones, tens, hundreds, and then over here where there's nothing is my thousands. So I would actually put my box around that empty space. There are no thousands in this particular problem. If I want to add 1,000 to it, I'm going from 0 thousands, adding one more set of 1,000 on there. That means now I'd have 1,000. And then the 432 just goes along for the ride because we're not doing anything with the hundreds, tens, and ones. We're only manipulating the thousands. On this last problem, I want to know what is 10 more than 400 or 4,893. We know that this is my ones and this is my tens place value, but can you think of a different way of grouping it instead of just thinking of it as 9 tens? You could say 89 tens, but I think it's always easiest just to take everything to the left of that place value. So I'm going to think of it as a massive 489 tens. That's a ton of tens. But I can easily count on from 489 tens, give myself one more 10, so count up one more, 489, 490. So now I have 490 tens. That's a lot of tens. Now, am I done? Nope, don't forget about that little 3. Remember, he gets to go along for the ride. We're not doing anything with the one's place value, so he doesn't change. So it might be an easy strategy for you to think about grouping that place value and everything to the left of it together. And then that way, when you're doing 10 more, you're just adding on one, or 100 less, you're just taking one away, instead of having to worry about adding or subtracting with borrowing and regrouping. On these next couple I want you to try them on your own. I'm going to give you a clue for these first couple just to get you started. When I think about what is 10 less than 734, I know that my tens place value is the 3, but instead of just thinking it as a 3, I could group it together and everything with the left of it would make it 73 tens. If I want to know what is 100 more than 1,962, here I know that the 9 is in the hundreds place value, or I could group everything to the left of it and actually say it's 19 hundreds. These last two I'm not going to do for you. What I would like you to do is get a whiteboard, copy down these problems, and solve them yourself. You're going to need to pause the video while you're working and then push play again when you're ready to check your work. Go ahead and pause now. Okay, welcome back. Let's check our work. Here we already grouped them together. We knew that we were dealing with tens. The 3 was in the tens place value, but I wanted to be a little creative in my thinking, so I took everything to the left of it, and now I have 73 tens. I want to know what is 1 10 less than that, so I just need to back up one. Instead of 73 tens, I'm now going to have 72 tens. And then those 4 ones just go for the ride. We're not dealing with ones, they just get to tag along. Here I had 1,962. We could think of it as 900s, or we could take everything with it to the left too and think of it as 1900s. The nice thing about thinking of it as 19 hundredths is that when I add another hundred, I easily can count on from 19. I have 19 hundredths. Give me another hundred, I'm now going to have 20 hundredths. Then that 62, it just goes along for the ride because I'm not manipulating the tens or the ones place value. Just figured out that 100 more than 1,962 is 2,062. Now this one I didn't do your chunking for you. I wanted to know what was 1,000 less than 9,723. Here's my ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. In this case, there is nothing to the left of it. All I have is 9,000s. I want to know what is 1,000 less than my 9,000 that I already have. So I have 9,000. I want to take away one of those 1,000. That's going to leave me with 8,000. I'm not changing my hundreds. I'm not changing my tens. And I'm not changing my ones. So that 723 just goes for the ride. I figured out that 1,000 less than 9,723 is 8,723. For this last one, I wanted to know what was 10 more than 83. Here's my ones, here's my tens. Again, in this case, I didn't have anything extra to group on. There's nothing to the left for me to add, so I still just have my 8 tens. I want to know what is 1 10 more. I currently have 8 tens. If I give you another 10, I would have 9 tens. So now I have 9 tens, and then that 3 ones just goes for the ride. We're not changing the ones right now, so we're not going to do anything to him. If this made sense for you, I want you to try this next set of problems using the strategy of taking that place value that we're looking at, so 10 here, 100 here, 1,000 here, and everything to the left of it as well. So here I had tens, but I added on the 700s as well to make it 73 tens. Here I had 900s, but I added the one to the left of it as well to make it 1900s. And then doing that, you should be able to count on or count backwards easily as you add or subtract one group. Go ahead and try your next set of problems.